the Vatican may not have fully revealed the so-called third secret of Fatima. Malik Martin, a priest who read the disturbing, undisclosed content of that secret, decided to reveal everything he knew about the information kept secret in the Vatican archives. Martin believed that the third secret had implications far beyond what was disclosed by the Vatican and was not related to the assassination attempt on John Paul II. Many wonder, did the Vatican really release the entire third secret, or is there still something hidden that will never be known? Is there perhaps a missing text from the third secret? Evidence suggests that something is missing. And if the Vatican really wants to hide part of this secret, could it be because it contains a terrifying conspiracy that could shake the world, or some other reason? Today, we will uncover the whole truth behind why part of the third secret of Fatima was not fully revealed. We will hear the truth from a priest who read the third secret of Fatima in its entirety. If you believe in God and want to receive more videos that could change your life, subscribe to the channel now by clicking the subscribe button right below this video. Also, comment below if you have heard about the third secret of Fatima, closely guarded by the Vatican. In 1917, Our Lady appeared to 3 children in Fatima, Portugal. Among various messages and miracles, she gave them a secret that was good for some and bad for others. Although 2 of the seers died a few years later, the third, Lucia dos Santos, lived a long life as a Carmelite nun. In 1941, Lucia revealed in her memoirs that the secret had 3 parts. Although she published the first 2 secrets, she chose not to disclose the third secret as it could shake the world. Instead, she wrote it down and gave it to her local bishop, asking him to send it to the Pope and ensure that the secret would not be publicly revealed until 1960. The secret was delivered to Rome in 1957, but in 1960 the Vatican decided not to release it, claiming it would likely remain under absolute secrecy forever. After decades of speculation and controversy, including a plane hijacking in 1981 where it was demanded that Pope John Paul II reveal the secret, the Vatican finally revealed the third secret in 2000, describing an apocalyptic scene, including an apparent prediction of the attack on John Paul II and urging repentance and penance. Even after the disclosure of one of the Church's most guarded revelations, the third secret of Fatima, many people remain dissatisfied with the explanation offered. It is suspected that the Vatican still hides an essential part to complete the true secret. In fact, Italian journalist Antonio Socci accused the Vatican of not releasing the full text of the secret, pointing out various inconsistencies between what was disclosed and what was previously said about the secret. Rumors have emerged that Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict XVI, had confessed to his friend Father Ingo Dollinger that the Vatican had withheld a part of the secret warning of a bad council and a bad mass. This, combined with Lucia's request for the secret not to be revealed until 1960, seems to refer to the Second Vatican Council and the subsequent liturgical reforms that are still controversial among many traditionalists. Christopher Ferrara, an American lawyer and Catholic commentator, highlighted in a conference that there are many inconsistencies and contradictions in the Vatican's version. He stated that among those truly familiar with the events at Fatima, only a minority firmly accepts the notion that an ambiguous vision of a bishop dressed in white outside a partially ruined city is all that there is in the third secret. Some argue that the third secret of Fatima was such a shocking and serious prophecy that several popes decided not to make it known to the faithful. Furthermore, the text published in 2000 contained little more than an allegory about the Church's past struggles with 20th century ideologies. It is believed that the third secret referred not only to the Pope in white, who was later believed to be Pope John Paul II, fulfilling the prophecy, but pointed to a broader image, which is the crisis of faith and pastoral neglect. It prophesies that Russia will play a role. Before the death of Father Malachi Martin in 1999, who gave a series of interviews both to Art Bell and Bernard Yen discussing these issues, in the interviews given, Father Malachi Martin frequently discussed the third secret of Fatima. Although he did not reveal its content directly, he mentioned that the message of Fatima focused not only on Russia, as expected, but also on Ukraine, especially Kiev. Surprisingly, a listener told Martin that he had heard from a priest who read the third secret that the last pope would be under Satan's control. Upon hearing this, the pope identified as John Paul II reportedly fainted, thinking it was him mentioned. and Martin confirmed that it seemed to be the text of the third secret. What is even more interesting is that, a few years earlier, Martin had disclosed as much as he ever would about the third secret to the public reader in his 1990 book, The Keys of This Blood. In this book, he did not hold back in describing that the written formulation of the secret covered three main topics: a physical punishment of the nations involving both natural and man-made disasters on land, water, and in the global atmosphere; a more terrifying and distressing spiritual punishment, especially for Roman Catholics, as it would consist of the disappearance of religious belief in a period of widespread disbelief in many countries, and the crucial role of Russia. Martin claimed that both the physical and spiritual punishments were intrinsically linked to the third topic, the decisive role of Russia. According to Lucia's letter, the physical and spiritual punishments would be triggered by a fateful timeline in which Russia would be the regulator. He also mentioned that, despite the severity of the punishments meant to chastise the nations for their impiety and abandonment of God's laws, there was hope that the entire catastrophic process could be avoided. This would be possible if two demands of Mary were met: that the Pope in 1960 publish the text of the third secret so that the whole world could read and know it, and that the Pope, along with all his bishops, consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Martin emphasized that, if these two basic conditions were met, the two punishments, physical and spiritual, would not be inflicted on humanity. Russia would be converted to religious belief, and a period of great peace and prosperity would follow. Unfortunately, these conditions were not met during John XXIII's time, and Martin regretted that the collegial consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary did not take place in October 1962, when 2,500 bishops gathered in the Vatican to open the Second Vatican Council. Malachi Martin relied on a response from Pope John Paul II about why previous popes did not choose to publish the secret or obey the request related to Russia. John Paul Bauern's predecessors in the Patrine office, John XXIII, Paul VI, and John Paul I, diplomatically preferred to postpone the publication to avoid encouraging the global communist power to make certain moves. On March 25, 1984, Pope John Paul II held a ceremony to carry out the consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, but at the last moment decided not to name Russia. Our Lady of Fatima promised peace through her intercession if her requests were met. If the Pope and all the bishops consecrated Russia to her Immaculate Heart and promoted the devotion of the 5 first Saturdays, Russia would be converted and there would be peace. Otherwise, Russia would spread its errors throughout the world, causing wars, and in the Church, the good would be martyred, the Holy Father would suffer greatly, and several nations would be annihilated. In 1936, when Sister Lucia asked the Lord why he would not convert Russia or bring peace without the specific consecration of Russia, he replied that he wished the whole Church to recognize this consecration as a triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, so that the Church would place devotion to the Immaculate Heart alongside devotion to his Sacred Heart. On March 25, 1984, Pope St. John Paul II, according to the late Father Gabriel Amorth, performed the consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, but did not mention Russia. However, the Pope made a public prayer for the conversion of Russia and made it a prayer item in all Masses. But from traditional Catholic perception, it might not have been sufficient for the complete conversion of Russia. Nevertheless, many believe that Pope John Paul II ignored the required consecration and that the final message of the third secret has not yet been fully revealed. Pope John Paul II himself also said that the third secret referred to a crisis of faith that was not related only to Pope John Paul II. Martin made an interesting observation in his book, The Keys of This Blood, where he declared that the consecration of 1984 was a mistake for not including Russia. He declared that the true reason why the Vatican did not publish the full text of the third secret was its concern that the third secret contained a much deeper and more frightening prophecy about the imminent fall and collapse of the Catholic Church. The final prophecy of the third secret was associated with a devastating crisis in the Catholic Church, which Martin predicted to occur, and that was ongoing. Martin considered the secret to be a warning that the Catholic Church would face a crisis so grave and profound that it would end up destroying itself spiritually. Martin suggested that if the true content of the third secret were revealed, it would trigger a sense of panic and despair among Catholics. Therefore, the Vatican's decision to withhold the final part of the third secret was intended to protect the church and its faithful from a destabilizing shock. He believed that the failure in the consecration of Russia was at the heart of this crisis. The revelation of part of the third secret in 2000 was followed by statements from many theologians and seers who considered the message incomplete and said it did not explain all the events mentioned by Lucia. For example, some argued that the disclosed text indicated that the secret was a prophecy about the loss of faith and apostasy in the church, and not specifically about a particular pope. If you've been intrigued by these surprising revelations and want to continue exploring these fascinating topics, subscribe to our channel right now. Click the subscribe button right below and activate the bell to not miss any of our upcoming videos. Like the video if you enjoyed the content and comment with your opinions and questions. Share this video with your friends and family so more people can learn about these impactful revelations. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.